everybody. Matt Geary for Geek Pride at Prospect Games with Matt.
Hello.
And Andy.
Thank you for coming.
No problem at all, guys. You're really down the road. You know, it's all good. Didn't realise you were so close.
Yeah, we went and met up at Birmingham and we could have just done it here.
That's very true. Yeah. So the last time I saw you guys, EGX, a lot's happened since then. You've got yourself a nice wee office, and the game's close to release. So tell us about it.
Well, yeah, so when you last saw us, we were in green light, struggling for views, you know, hitting the road, trying to get people to vote for our game. We got through actually in 2 weeks, and it was a really successful campaign. And pretty much since then, we've just gone into the dev cave. We went silent for a while, just getting the game done. Expanded the team a little bit here to help us finish it. We've had a load of support from outside of the studio on the audio front. Actually, we've had a lot of people helping us there, and yeah, we basically finished the game.
So it's all done. When is it to be released?
September 5th, this Monday.
So this Monday. All right, okay. So hopefully this video will be out before then. But yeah, so September 5th. So talk us through it then. Talk us through the journey for Unbox. We'll talk about, there's another video which will probably be around here somewhere. From the EGX interview. We will hopefully splice in some awesome footage as well of the game. But do you want to walk us through the development process?
Well, I guess if we want to go all the way back, it started at what, Matt, age 5? Because Matt and I are actually childhood friends, so I guess this actually started when we were playing Super Mario and Banjo-Kazooie and all those sorts of N64 games. That has really been the inspiration for this title, and so years later, after we all graduated from various games development courses, we came together to make Unbox, and it was a Unreal 4 game jam in Christmas of 2014. Where we entered. The theme was What's in the Box, so you can see where it came from. And over the course of about a year, we went from developing in our flat, which kind of turned into a makeshift office. We hired some people, realized we haven't got the space for this, we need to get an office, looked around the corner, found this place, said, yep, give that to us for 12 months, we'll see what we can do with it. And by the time you'd met us at EGX, we were already about 9 months into developing the local multiplayer, and about 2 months into developing the single player, which we'd completely scrapped about 2 months before EGX. I had a bit of a eureka moment where I went like, oh, well, we're doing these kind of like these Trials HD style single player levels. They don't work too well. As we're inspired by Mario and Banjo and these sorts of games, why don't we do these like big open worlds? So of course the team had a heart attack. But I managed to convince him. I was like, no, seriously, this is what we should be doing. This is going to make the single player what it should be. And by the time we got to EGX, we were tired, but just about pulled off the first of the 3 worlds that we've now got in Unbox. And over the course of time since then, we've basically just been fleshing them out, putting a lot more narrative and character into the game, a lot more challenges, vehicles that you can drive around, and we added cars.
Oh, I don't think we had vehicles. Did we have vehicles when we saw it last time?
I don't think we did. No, I think yeah, we demoed some stuff out, but we hadn't put any of that in the game.
Right, okay. Interesting. I have to see that now, because last time when I saw you guys, you could customize your box. You could put headdresses and things on it.
There's still a lot of that. In fact, a lot more. There's an awful lot more of that.
So you've added the customized. So we've got people behind us here. We'll see if we get out of the way. Working hard. So what additions then have you got since I last saw you?
An awful lot. I think, well, Worlds 2 and 3 will be the biggest ones. And then we've added probably a couple of multiplayer maps since then. So that there's an awful lot of content in the game now.
So what are we talking about? So you said Worlds 2 and 3, so you've got 3 3 single player worlds?
Yeah, 3 single player worlds with all their own story and challenges.
And what about sort of multiplayer maps?
How many have we got now? We've got 5 race courses, and is it 7 or 8 arenas?
6. We've got 11 multiplayer maps on launch. 3 worlds, which I think combined equal something like 20 kilometers in space. They're very, very big, but you can move very fast for them, so you can always get to the content. And of course, a massive amount of audio and music has gone into the game, Matt.
Yeah.
Are you the audio guy?
I am the audio guy. Yeah.
Okay, so you compose all the music and everything?
Yeah, and done all the sound design. It's been an awful lot of fun doing everything. bit hectic these last few weeks, having to look at every single area of it, but it's been really rewarding and really
So, as a sort of, for any budding sort of kind of devs out there, people who want to sort of create their own games and things, was it your concept for the game, and then you've dragged Matt in for the sort of music and things, or was it sort of kind of combined thing?
No, actually, when these guys started, I was working on the Lego games at TT Fusion, and I went for a drink with Andy, and he somehow convinced me to leave that job that I loved and come and do this. And I've got no regrets over the decision. It was a very, very difficult decision at the time because I loved that job. But it's been a blast working on Unbox, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what people think of it now.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. It's just, as a sort of a game, it just it's sort of nostalgia, just sort of like those old school games, like you said, sort of kind of Banjo-Kazooie and things like that. You just sort of get that full vibe, and I think it's going to be. I really hope it succeeds for you. I think, especially because it's only on Steam at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, so we decided we're going to focus on the Steam launch. That's the first platform we started developing for, because as any indie dev knows, it's easy to develop for PC. Just trying to get dev kits can be a challenge. You've got to prove yourself. But we have been developing console versions. At the moment, we're focused on the Steam launch. We want to see how that goes. And then after the dust has settled and we've maybe had a few days to maybe just sleep for a while, we're going to start considering our next steps. And yeah, it's a console game at heart, so we'd love to get onto those platforms if possible.
So what's the difference between sort of doing it on a PC or doing it for a console? Why is it harder, or easier for a PC and not for a console?
It's it's a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, with consoles, they're a fixed platform. So with PC, while it's easier to start, as soon as you download the engine, you can start developing for PC. The issue is people could have a massive variety of rigs, all different sorts of configurations. We've spent a long time testing on all of our personal PCs. We used a company who really just mashed the game on every device that imaginable, just to see if it runs on all of them. So with PC, there's a big challenge, and there's a big variety of hardware. Some graphics cards are better than others. Some motherboards cause issues, some don't. So that's really the challenge on PC. With consoles, it's kind of the reverse. It's a fixed platform. If it works on one PlayStation, it's going to work on others. But then there's a sort of seal of quality that comes with that. So there's compliance for both platforms, where you've got to make sure everything from the basics, like the word PlayStation, has to be spelt right, but then really specific things like screen elements have to be within 10% away from the edge of the screen, in case people with different resolutions have information that's cut off. And there's there's a big thick book of things that you need to go through and make sure that you're compliant with, or they're not going to let you on the platform. With Steam, they just basically let you on. There is a minor amount of compliance, but there's in recent years, the whole indie-pocalypse thing is largely driven by this point that there's a lot of indie games that just aren't very good getting onto the platform, and you don't really have that. Just looking at the console release schedules, there's a lot less games coming out on console each month, but they're generally of a higher quality overall than the masses of games that you can get on PC. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Do you think, because obviously back in the sort of kind of 80s, there was a massive sort of boom in British sort of gaming and things. Do you think that's sort of coming back now?
I think in the same way that back then there was sort of a lot of bedroom development, yeah, that's definitely what's driven the whole indie side of things. We basically started developing in our bedrooms and moved to our flat, living room, and then moved to the office. So yeah, there's a massive element of that. The flip side now is that because there's so many of us doing it, it's squeezing a lot of people out of the market. It's become harder than ever to market the game, and I'd say, other than the massive amount of polishing we've been doing to the title to get it as good as possible over the last month, really the hardest thing has actually been the PR, is getting people interested in the game, getting journalists to cover it, just getting keys out to people. Yeah, we got this at least. So.
Yeah. At least, I was probably the 10th person they called.
No, top of the list, because it's you guys did give us coverage when we needed it at our desperate hour of being on Greenlight, and it's good to get this kind of coverage, but to get the indie sales that you really need to compete with everyone else, you need hundreds of thousands, millions of hits online in a very condensed time period in order to translate into sales. And that's where most people, there's so many games that I've seen over the past just year alone that are great and they've had 500 sales. And the craftsmanship that went into them is incredible, and yet they don't get any hits because they just didn't get it out to the right people at the right time.
So the buzz, you basically need to get the buzz going and get people sort of kind of interested. It's the same with anything, I guess. It's the same when we're trying to push the site or anything. Getting people engaged is hard because people just sort of will be easily just whatever sort of kind of in front of them. So unless you're literally showing it to them, they're just like, I'm not going to look for something. You get the odd person who will look for indie games and things like that, but the very you need to basically make it a lot more accessible for them. So the pitch, right? So you've got this coming out on the 5th. Why should people buy your game?
They should buy our game because it is about the ultimate postal service, self-delivering cardboard boxes. It's the first game ever about sentient cardboard boxes as far as I'm aware. And it's, I'd say, probably the best one. I'm going to go out and say that.
Okay, right. So for those of you who haven't sort of watched the previous interview I did to these guys, do you want to just give me a quick rundown of what the gameplay is like? Obviously, you said you're a sentient box that's got a post itself. Is that right?
Yeah, effectively. So if you jump into single player, you start off at GPS headquarters. That's Global Postal Service. They're a failing postal company that have somehow mysteriously developed these sentient, self-delivering cardboard boxes. And the game starts with you literally being created from a machine. You play Newbie, who is the newest box in the fleet. And Newbie's basically there to prove that the service is ready to roll out to the world. And so you get shipped off to this island to start completing challenges. And then out of nowhere, Boss Wild, the nefarious, evil cardboard box. Yeah, he's come to ruin your day. And basically the entire game is you jumping around completing these challenges while also defending GPS from the wild cards, this evil gang of rebel boxes, and maybe uncovering the mysterious truth behind these sentient cardboard boxes. Where did they come from? Who knows? You've got to buy the game to find out.
Whoa, that's a good pitch. And it's very customizable then. You've got a lot of things, like you said. There's cars. There's lots of skins and things you can use.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of
customizable content, things you can sort of increase. People who can sort of kind of more replayability because they can add things to the game. Yes.
Yeah, I think last count was something like 90,000 permutations of cosmetics, and the way you get those is by playing through the game, completing challenges, collecting gold tape, getting the master stamps to unlock each world, finding hidden secrets. That all unlocks cosmetics, and all of those cosmetics also have color swaps. And we've got some exciting plans down the line to add more content on that front.
DLC then, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, and maybe crossover content with other titles, who knows? It's all stuff we're working on at the moment. And we're really happy for people to send in suggestions as well. Like, the game has really been like a collaborative effort from the start. It was a game jam game, so it wasn't any one person's idea on the team. It's something that we all collaborated on. And as we developed the game over the last almost 2 years, we've always asked people, like, well, how can we increase interaction? And people have gone, add weapons so we can shoot each other. So we added weapons. And we've said, what kind of boxes would you like to see? What kind of accessories? And people go, I want to see top hat. All right, we'll add a top hat. And so, people want to get in contact with us at Prospect Games on Twitter, at Unbox the Game. Send us suggestions. If you like the game, tell us what you want to see in it next, and we'll consider adding it at least. We have regular sessions where we come up with the most nutty ideas. That's how the game existed in the first place. So.
Okay, cool. Okay, so you launch. It goes really well for you. What's next?
Very long holiday, maybe in the Caribbean. I don't know. No, I think what we all really want to do is immediately get on to the next steps, which is kind of bolster the content for the game, make sure that the fans are supported. As we said, we'd really like to see Unbox on more platforms. And again, it's really about taking consumer feedback. Like, if people, like, one of the things that a lot of people ask us for is it going to have online multiplayer? And we go, we do not have the resources for that, so no. And we wanted to make a local multiplayer experience, but when people en masse say we want to see this, or we want to see level creators or box builders, anything like that, it's all stuff we're seriously going to consider. And it basically comes down to, well, how do we do on launch? Do we have the money to make these things? Well, then we'll seriously consider it.
So in a proverbial nutshell or a box, if you guys spend a lot of money, then these guys can add more to it, pretty much.
Yeah, that's the long and short of it, I guess.
Make these guys rich and get more stuff. Okay, cool. So, final piece. Advice for budding game developers like yourselves, or obviously audio composers like yourself. What advice for them?
Just work hard, keep at it, don't give up. All the really generic things, really.
And if your mate comes to you when you're working for Lego and says, "You want to come work for me?" You say yes.
Yes.
And you?
I'd say if you're just straight up just wanting to develop, start developing. You know, grab Unreal, grab Unity, Game Maker, Construct. They're all free. Just start making stuff. If you want to start a business, read some books first, because I've learned a lot of lessons by making mistakes, which is always the way with business. But go in as prepared as possible. Read up on the legality of IP and trademarks and employment contracts and everything else. You'd be amazed how much stuff happens behind the scenes that, you know, we as even gamers and consumers, like, we never see that side of things. And starting a business is easy. It's just £100 with Company's House. Setting up a business and building it's been one of the toughest things I think any of us have ever embarked upon, but it's been worth it. But do your research.
Well, that's what I'd add from the development side. It would be just get yourself on something. There's a massive modding and indie community of people out there that just they don't work for any money. They're just doing it for the love of it. And we were working on Left 4 Dead mods long before this, weren't we? And that's kind of where we learned a lot of what we know now. It's just not from kind of preparing the assets, but from getting involved and making a game, or making as close to a game as you possibly can.
So basically, instead of just sitting there with ideas, just go and do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A couple of years ago, I was sat around just playing Natural Selection and Red Orchestra and not doing anything with myself. And I just thought, like, I have the skills to do something. I know people who have amazing talents. Let's just do this.
Well, you know, obviously, I'm not sure you guys won't be able to see this. I'll hopefully have some clips of it around when we're doing this. But obviously, these guys started off in their apartment, and they've got their own little office here. Lots of guys working very hard behind us. I'm rather impressed. Yeah, I wasn't expecting this at all. You know, I actually don't know what I was expecting, but yeah, I'm rather impressed. So, hopefully, no, not hopefully. I know it'll do well. I reckon you guys you'll get it. You'll get fingers crossed. Yeah, I reckon. Yeah. So actually, talking about that, right? So you obviously, I think it's quite good that when I asked you what you're going to do next, that you want us to support this game, because a lot of people might go, "Oh, I made $1 million," and then move on to something else. But you guys obviously want to carry on with this one. If you were to move on to something else, what sort of direction would you go in? What sort of thing would you look at doing?
We've got a big catalogue of ideas, but I think, well, I couldn't commit to anything. I think the lessons that we've learned and the sort of themes that we've tapped into on this project are definitely things we'd want to keep going forwards with. Central to that is fun, just making fun games. There's a story in Unbox, but there's no meaning behind it. It's just, it's wackiness. We like making silly, wacky things because that's what we grew up playing. We really like multiplayer experiences, especially things which you can play with people on the couch within punchable distance, I guess. We really like that kind of stuff. So I really don't know what we're going to do next. And when we started this, I came up with this big master plan of we're going to do this, we're going to do with that. And I found it's far better to just be reactive, be agile, go with what people want. And that's why we did Unboxes. We put videos out there, we put the demo out, and people played it and said, we want this. And we went, all right, we're going to scrap what we're doing now, and we're going to make Unbox, because that's what we think people want. And I think there's lots of ideas that we want to do, but we're going to go with what people out there want, what gamers want, because they're the most important thing in all this.
Yes, very true. Okay, guys, has been a pleasure. Enjoyed myself, loving the office. Good luck. And before we go, websites, email addresses, Twitters, and things like that. Give us
Unboxgame.com for all your Unbox needs. If you want to reach us out on Twitter, it's @ProspectGames or @UnboxTheGame. And if you just search Prospect Games or Unbox on any other platform, you'll pretty much find us.
Awesome. Cheers, guys. Much appreciated.